While Nintendo is focused on making new games for the Switch now, gamers still like to go back on older consoles like the Wii U and the 3DS to be able to buy older titles. So you would think Nintendo would learn about preservation of games, right? Oh, right. They're going to now be cutting the eShop for Wii U and 3DS as of next year.
You can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed?
Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, I think everybody remembers the Wii Shop channel, when they used to have that, and then, of course, Nintendo decided to throw that out, and the reason was, back in 2019 when they shut it down, was that they decided that, well, they shifted to the eShop on the Switch and the 3DS family systems because they planned to focus their efforts on those areas. Now, it's understandable that they want to focus on their new console, but to cut out the back catalog and then still make it just inaccessible to get some games, like, because some of them are digital release only, yeah, that's not good. That's been a bad thing that Nintendo's had going on. That's why people have gone to emulators, having to sail the high seas to find them, because that's the only way to get them. Now, the Wii U and the 3DS, they've had the eShop, and people have been able to go get DLC, game demos, and things of that sort. Well, now we have the Switch. And with Nintendo, it's not surprising that they cycle out things, because they're going to focus on their newest product. Well, thing is, you would think that Nintendo would learn to preserve older games and older titles, right? You would think that the Wii U and the 3DS's eShop would be important and valuable to keep those old games. Well, apparently not, because the Wii U and the 3DS eShop sales are ending in March of 2023. I mean, this is a problem because it's like Nintendo's so out of touch to not understand that gamers still like older games, like to go back on these classic consoles to get them. But then they're like, oh, no, let's go to the Switch because that's what we need you to buy. I mean, my God. Like, how out of touch can you be? Like, this is also going to completely destroy some games because they're just not going to exist anymore. Because there's only digital releases. I mean, what does Nintendo expect you to do? Go and get a damn DeLorean to be able to go back in time to a point where you could actually go and buy some of Nintendo's greatest titles of all time? I mean, because that's what it seems like is happening at this point. And then you notice that a lot of these older games that were out there, that are some of the best ones that they've got, they're extremely expensive at around like $300, $400, $500, some of them even hitting the $1,000 range plus. I mean, this is ridiculous. And we'll also talk about digital games that are only on digital release and how that affects them, because there's plenty of them that will be completely erased from history, unless, obviously, emulators. So let's get into this. Nintendo has announced both Wii U and 3DS eShop sales are ending in March 2023, effectively sunsetting both previous generation consoles. Terrible. Absolutely terrible, Nintendo. You need to backpedal this one, because video game preservation is vitally important. People love old games as much as they do new ones if the new ones are good. So, no, backpedal this one, Nintendo. This is a bad idea. You need to not go through with this. As of late March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in Nintendo eShop for the Wii U system and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. It will also no longer be possible to download free content, including game demos. Furthermore, as this date draws closer, related services will cease to function. As of May 23rd, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use a credit card to add funds to the account in Nintendo eShop on Wii U or Nintendo 3DS family of systems. So they're already gunning sooner than later. God, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. As of August 29, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use the Nintendo eShop card to add funds. So you have no way to buy anything for these consoles. Like, they're just shutting it down that much sooner. Like, get them while you can at this point. Like, this is also going to shoot, like, Nintendo 3DS is up for those that are going to have, like, these digital games that are going to just not exist anymore. Because when the eShop's gone, they're not here anymore. Like, because there are some digital titles that will just cease to exist because they never had a physical copy. This is a horrible idea. Like, just garbage idea. Users who link their Nintendo Network ID wallet used with Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems with their Nintendo account wallet used with the Nintendo Switch family of systems can use a shared balance to purchase content on any of these systems until late March 2023. After that, the balance can only be used to purchase content for the Nintendo Switch family of systems. My God, Nintendo, and you would question why emulators are being made. This is why. Because while people have to get it the illegal way, this is the way they basically have to get games because you're making it so that they have to do this. You know, you could be making money because people will go back to these consoles and they'll do this. Shutting down this eShop is going to make more emulators just start to spark up. And then people are going to be selling like their 3DSs and stuff like that down the line. It's like it's going to be extremely expensive. I mean, the market's going to go crazy. And on their FAQ page, this has been removed, but somebody asked this. Once it is no longer possible to purchase software in Nintendo eShop on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems, many classic games for past platforms will cease to be available for purchase anywhere. Will you make classic games available to own some other way? If not, then why? Doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games by continually making them available for purchase? And this was Nintendo's response. Across our Nintendo Switch Online membership plans, over 130 classic games are currently available in growing libraries for various legacy systems. The games are often enhanced with new features such as online play. We think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players within these libraries. New and longtime players can not only find games they remember or have heard about, but other fun games they might not have thought to seek out otherwise. Oh, here's the big one. We currently have no plans to offer classic content other ways.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
So they don't plan, from what this statement was right here, that they made when they were answering a question, we currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways. Really? Like, look, they're not making games for the older generation consoles anymore. They're only making games on the Switch. Nintendo, you could still be making money if you were to keep the eShop for the Wii U and the 3DS. That's true. You could still make money that way. Yeah, people are still going to Switch, but they still go back on older generation consoles. So to remove this and then have no other ways to, offer classic content, that's not a good sign at all. And then this statement right here, like on their Twitter, this is what they said, where they announced they were going to shut down the eShop for the Wii U and the 3DS family systems. But then they also said this: we thank you for supporting Nintendo eShop on Wii U and Nintendo 3DS family of systems. Additionally, you may also look back on your time with them via various play statistics.
Yes. Oh my god.
People want to be able to buy older games. The statistics is not what they're looking for. They're looking for the old games. I mean, don't get me wrong, people do like to look at statistics on certain things, but they want to be able to buy these games too. It's not just the statistics. The games is what gamers want. I mean, even the Video Game History Foundation says Nintendo classic game policies are destructive, in which they are. Because some of these games are digital. They never had a physical release, and they're never coming back once this is gone. I mean, this is terrible. The Video Game History Foundation says Nintendo classic game policies are destructive. Obviously, following this news, while you may have never heard of them, the Video Game History Foundation is a fan group that actively seeks to preserve video games, which, that's good. You should hope to find and preserve video games. So they had this long statement, and so looking out of this article, this is what they had to say. While it is unfortunate that people won't be able to purchase digital 3DS or Wii U games anymore, we understand the business reality that went into this decision. What we don't understand is what path Nintendo expects the fans to take, should they wish to play these games in the future. As a paying member of the Entertainment Software Association, Nintendo actively funds lobbying that prevents even libraries from being able to provide legal access to these games. Not providing commercial access is understandable, but preventing institutional work to preserve these titles on top of that is effectively destructive to video game history. We encourage ESA members like Nintendo to rethink their position on this issue and work with existing institutions to find a solution. I mean, yes, and I agree, because look, analysis. Up to 1,000 digital-only games will disappear when Nintendo closes its 3DS and Wii U stores.
Damn!
I mean, this is crazy. They're Thanos snapping tons of games. Like up to 1,000. Like, this is just insane to think. And, like, Nintendo's making a major mistake with this. This is why I'm saying, like, I can't stress this enough. While there are times where I praise Nintendo on some decisions they make, and then I also criticize them at other times, this is one of those moments where I'm like, Nintendo, this is bad. Because some games will never exist anymore. This is the problem. This doesn't preserve games. This destroys games that didn't even have physical releases ever, and this was the only way to have them. I mean, this is a very horrible idea. I mean, you look at this. In total, around 2,000 games are currently available on the 3DS Wii U eShop stores in the West, including around 450 digital-only Wii U games, around 600 digital-only 3DS games, and then nearly 530 virtual console games, around 350 of which are not currently available on Nintendo Switch Online. This means that once they're gone, you have to get them illegally. There is no other way to get them. You're making this easier for people to just emulate Nintendo. Like, you're asking for this yourselves. This is what you're doing. When you could make money. This is a moneymaker. Like, this is a moneymaker to keep this alive rather than to shut it down. Nintendo doesn't seem to get that. They would still make money this way. I mean, yeah, you have a Switch, which is new, don't get me wrong, and on the screen here, you'll be able to see some things that, are, download-only exclusives that will be gone. I'll let you pause that, but point is, Nintendo, this is a moneymaker still. People are going to want to go back on these consoles. They're going to want to play games. I mean, you could possibly emulate them on Nintendo Switch Online, yeah, but if you're not going to do that, if some of these games are going to just disappear forever, then, yeah, you're just making this easier for emulators. I mean, like, people will just illegally go and make this so that it's accessible that way. Like, this is wild. I mean, this is crazy. Like, Nintendo, you should not do this. Like, this is why PlayStation, they had to backpedal what they were doing, because they were gonna do the same thing. Fans, had their outcry here to say, hey, look, don't do this. We want to be able to buy stuff, because they knew what was going to happen, because PlayStation was going to throw away all of their stuff as well. And then in turn, what happened? They listened and they were like, okay, well, we'll keep it all up, because people didn't want to see those games go, that there was no other way that they were going to get them, because PlayStation clearly wasn't going to bring them forward onto like other consoles. This is the same instance, Nintendo. You need to listen to the fans instead of doing dumb shit like this. It's stopping people from being able to get games that are digital, that never had a physical release, for one, that they're not able to get. And it's easier this way too, because there are just some physical copies that are just far too expensive now, because they're out of print. You can't, you can't find them as much because they're not being thrown out there on stock anymore. And so you basically have to find them through used game stores or something. This is a no-brainer idea that you need to keep this. This is the way that people can get these games still. Rather than having to shovel out hundreds of dollars for maybe one game. This is why this is very important, to preserve games, physically and digitally, because they can be lost of time, and then the market gets just completely twisted around, because then they just skyrocket. And I mean, what's going to happen with the Switch at this point? Say they have another console like the Switch, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and then they're like, okay, well, we're going to focus on this new console now, and the Switch, we're going to shut down its eShop because, we're phasing it out. It's like, no, this would be a bad idea, because I'm sure there'd be digital games on there too that would just cease to exist, or there'd be certain Switch titles that are actually rare print titles that are going to just skyrocket to the roof because they're going to be expensive. This is what's going to happen the same way. It's going to be a cycle. It's going to continue if Nintendo continues to do this stuff. I mean, it's like they don't learn that they should preserve this. People love older games, and this is a moneymaker. I mean, gamers go back to games that were decades old. I pulled out my GameCube back in November to play old GameCube games. And here's the thing. This is something you got to look at. I was playing Pokemon Coliseum, which, where's that on the store, right? You know what I'm saying? And I made a challenge for myself of going and capturing every Shadow Pokemon in their original location in regular Pokeballs. Hard as hell challenge, but it was worth it. It was fun, And that's the thing. People go back on this stuff. Metroid Prime trilogy also. You also look at Xenoblade Chronicles X that's on the Wii U. What's going to happen with some of these games? Are you actually going to bring them to the Switch store? And this is the problem. This is why, people go back. Gamers go back and they either dig up their old consoles to play, old games from, decades ago, Or, like some of them, they saw something they liked and they were like, yeah, I want to buy it. And then either they have to buy it digitally because they'll have to shovel out like hundreds of dollars sometimes to find the console or even the game itself. Or B, which is the easier option, they went to the eShop and they bought it there. Like more accessibility for gamers is good. And to take this away though, this is bad. Like I don't know how you can't see that this is a bad move, Nintendo. I don't understand. I mean, I get that the whole cycling thing, but this is not something you should do. You shouldn't do this because this destroys video game history. This gets rid of old games that sometimes some people will never be able to even access or play unless it's illegally. Like Nintendo, you're just helping boost emulators at this point. That's what you're doing. When you could be making money off this stuff. I mean, I'm just saying. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you were new here. And make sure you were still subscribed because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you were still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like and also be sure to share the video on social media. Spread the word and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also be sure to follow me on both Discord and Minds. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on both Discord and Minds. The links are in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always do better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you, and have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.